wanted to go ahead and take a look right away at these teams. And already, right off the bat, we do see a 2-2-2 dive. Actually, just kind of a little bit of some space creation meant for Kenzie, as Unfixed is on the Pharah and is on the Mercy as well. So not exactly what I expected, at least to start here, but on a control map like this could definitely work out in their favor.
It's most likely due to the fact that on this particular map of Lijiang is where you can really bring out and do the most with something like a Pharah and a Widowmaker. I mean, we've seen from Eagle Gaming a really interesting composition with Flippy on the Widowmaker and Leaf on the Doomfist. So this time around, we'll be on the blue hand side for CIS Hope. Unfixed on the Pharah, looking to deal some damage, but it's going to be Kenzie with that first blood, and the first cap will go over to CIS Hope.
I mean, obviously, yes, they had a ton of control already established on the point, asserting their dominance on it. Now they're finally going to be able to take this. Asking finally going to answer back from that first pick that happened with Kenzie taking his counterpart down. But, you know, certainly a lot could be said as well about, you know, the pacing, the momentum that you gain from having that first Widow pick that happened with Asking falling short there in the beginning. But he has definitely not slowed down yet. He's at 85% towards that ult already. So, of course, landing those shots, trying to get that infra side up so that you can get a retake pretty soon here, because already you can see 33% on the board right now for CIS Hope.
And a lot of ultimates are now online, potentially, especially with those support ultimates. Both Valkyries are going to keep their respective teams safe. We will see, however, this roster just try to engage onto the point of Snakes, looking to get something done, but it's still 50% soon enough in favor of CIS Hope. Zhao takes out Nesh out of the sky, and in return, Unfixed still unchecked. Will secure one kill onto Christopher, still looking for more. It seems like Snakes are just unable to find any work on the point.
These tanks are ruthless for CIS Hope too. I mean, you saw Zhao go right up in the air. You see that a lot when, you know, you have a situation where you need to deal with a Pharah in the sky, put some pressure onto Kave up there as the Mercy. Zhao's just going to take that role himself on the Diva. That happens quite often, I'd say, but not many people can do it like this guy.
And at the very least, for Snake, they do have a lot of ultimates lying down, but Zhao actually snipes him out of the air with a self-destruct. Beautiful angle coming out of him once again. Unsurprisingly, he's been a beast with those last season, but now, in return, the fire is still coming out of Snakes, looking to get a hold of that point, especially with 91% already built up. They need to make it happen right now, unless they are going to forfeit this first round, and they do have control of it, but the question is for how long?
Oh, Nash gonna go for an optimistic play there, trying to take down 3. He's gonna get rezzed up here, as you can see on your screen, and right back into the fray goes the Mercy, trying to get some healing out to the team, damage boosting as well. But on the point, it's still gonna be CIS Hope slowly falling right now. They're trying to deal with Nesh at the moment, but doesn't seem like they have enough bodies or enough time to do so, so they're gonna go ahead and bow out of that one, come back in for another bout.
And they will try to build themselves up an advantage. Of course, they only need one more team fight to secure this first round of Lijiang. And at this point, it's going to be up to Snakes, seeing whether or not they're going to crumble under pressure. As so far, Unfixed does have that infra side out already because of Kenzie and the Rocket Barrage to boot. So looking for an angle off from the side. Spots out the opposition, but Sharik is going to be the first one to go down. However, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Nash still finds another target up into the area, gets N2. And with that final kill, it seems like Snakes should still keep a hold of this point, but return fire is not too shabby. Not good enough, though.
Asking stayed alive just long enough to find those last 2 kills. Christopher just bottled them up inside of that white room, made sure that they couldn't go anywhere. And, you know, prior to that, Nesh set a lot of that up. He was doing a lot of work getting boosted by Kave and just dishing out the damage, being very consistent with those rockets.
And at this point, it's slowly getting favored for Snakes with 76% built up. A lot of ultimates in their lineup as available as well. But Kenzie with a swapper to the Tracer picks up Asking, and it is still a 2-for-1 as you will see Cave still getting the rest through. But the swap in favor of CIS Hope. They need to now contest overtime, kicking through, and kills are favoring CIS Hope. And with it, it will be awkward finally going down. Asking still trying to return fire. It's not over just yet. The Rocket Barrage coming out of Unfixed will look for that Mercy, who is all too slippery, manages to get away. And though finds Kenzie somehow with the safety of the rest of his team still on the point, as it is an all-out brawl. The pulse bomb did go through, but still no kills so far.
Oh, they have to deal with the barrage, and Unfixed finds the kill, but not before Main goes down. But look at this. Overtime should tick down. They got the kill onto the Mercy. They just need to get this final kill onto Asking. They get it. Overtime goes down, and CIS Hope take the first round, but a bloodbath throughout. As we did see a lot of battling happening there between CIS and Snakes, who are not going to let this go out without a fight. I can't imagine if after what we just saw that we're going to have another 3-0 on our hands. Not a third one, not today.
I'm excited for that escort map, man. Was really looking forward to it yesterday. It seems like we might get it today, but maybe we're getting also a little bit ahead of ourselves. We'll see what will happen as the second round here on Night Market will soon start up. And I gotta say, what I've seen out of Snakes so far, while yes, CIS Hope still had the upper hand, they were looking pretty hot. And this is the composition coming out of CIS Hope that we would have expected.
Yeah, I think I would have assumed maybe a Hanzo, but Kinsey going to be opting for the Widow instead. Isn't necessarily a surprise either, but 2-1-3 going to be a composition that we kind of mentioned briefly at the beginning of the broadcast, talked a little bit about yesterday as well, but we're going to be getting it here, and they're going to go right onto the point, already looking for control, and you can see Kinsey just being basically stalked by Asking and Heiko. They're going to look for that kill before so they can have that 6v5 advantage if they can find him, but they can't.
And at this point, CIS Hope have full control of the point, and they do get that first point cap, and Kenzie still gets the kill in the end, but it wasn't all for naught because Main did go down in that particular engage. However, and answering, or at the very least getting the D-suit through, will potentially secure the team fight a win, but return fire coming out of Nesh, finding Zhao in that engage, now looking to get control of this point. Member advantage now slowly building up in favor of Snakes, as it's still a back and forth. Sharik takes one, but that's all CIS Hope seemingly will be getting. And with these final few kills, Snakes should eventually grab a hold of this point.
Poor Brigitte, poor Unfixed in that last fight. Looked like he was getting bullied at school, thrown into the corner and just holding his shield up for dear life, saying, please, please, no. But he went down, and now it's CIS Hope looking for another opportunity to get back in there. Kinsey up top, going to be spotting the Mercy, but not landing the headshot. He's going to be backed out by Christopher, who's now perhaps out of position, going to have to re-engage over there. But in the meantime, his team is cleaning up.
And the problem was for CIS Hope the fact that they tried to go by themselves up into the side. The rest of them unsuccessful, means that it is going to be Snakes continuing to hold this point in a really strong fashion, already at 34%. And even better, looking forward, they do have that Zenyatta ultimate. They will have Primal Rage for Christopher as well, and he's been pretty lethal with it too, even.
And you have to wonder if something that might help them brawl would be a little bit better, you know, maybe a Zarya, maybe even something else, you know, even a Tracer at this point perhaps, but they're going to instead try to put some more pressure onto Asking and Nesh. But so far, Kenzie has been backed out a lot of these fights.
And since nobody was really on the point, CIS Hope do have control of it for now. They do have to rally on top. Self-destruct does get sent in. The Transcendence now eventually popped by Main. The Air Shadow was down too, and 2 kills in favor of CIS Hope means that they will continue to hold on for now, as the rest of Snakes will be resetting and looking to just regroup.
And Nesh backed off. He's going to die off. They're going to have the advantage now as CIS Hope climbs the head, claws their way forward, and we'll see if Asking can somehow get away, and does. A little bit of healing from Kave and a little bit of support as well, I believe, from Heiko there to secure his safety for now. But it's going to be hard for Christopher and the rest of his team to get out of here. They're going to just jump right in there. Remember, this kind of composition favors this positioning if they can just keep going forward on this.
Yeah, it's so much raw on the point,
Nesh.
but in the meantime, off into the back, it is going to be Nesh getting that point cap, but he will go down in the end, just looking to, at the very least, waste time, because remember, with 76% now on the board for CIS Hope, they're pretty much 2 teams fights away from winning Lijiang.
And that's a late death for Kave, so he's going to have to go ahead and sprint his little Mercy behind over there to try to get back into the fight, because they are now 10 seconds away. They have to make their way quickly. And look at this angle taken by Kenzie. If they try to get onto that point, he's going to take pot shots the whole time. Christopher getting aggressive as Kenzie pulls out. And Nesh,
again,
it's the second time.
CIS Hope just setting their sights on the rest of the team, and okay, that is good. That's what we talked about yesterday. If you win the ground game, you can potentially win it out, but the question is it too late now? It seems like it's not going to be the case because Xiao gets a double kill. Rest of his team cleaning up, should have the point back in their favor. I don't know if anyone can get back in time. Maybe Christopher can do it.
Well, he jumps in, but quickly gonna be pounded into that corner. Overtime ticks, rally comes up, and that will be that. 2-0 for CIS Hope, but not without a couple of great battles and some sneaky plays being displayed by Nesh.
That could have been the big thing to turn it all around for them, but overall still, this is what we expected out of CISO, right? A lot of brawly compositions running themselves up eventually. Of course, on this particular first round, it was looking slightly different, but given what we will see out of the next map soon enough in Numbani, what are your expectations?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, are we going to get that brawl or are we going to get that dive? Because now we've seen both being displayed, particularly by CIS Hope. Are we going to be seeing more Widow? We so far haven't seen even a Hanzo yet. That's actually pretty interesting as well, given, how popular he's been, not even just in general, but particularly in this tournament. So I'm expecting to see at some point some Hanzo play, but so far it seems very, Widow heavy, dominant, and we've seen both looks on a map like Numbani. We could get either or.
Especially since that first point is really open. But we'll find out what will happen soon enough after this break. After what seemed like a quick 2-0, still doesn't quite tell the true full story. It was closer than potentially someone would expect, but still very interesting. We are now slowly heading into the second map, which will be Numbani. And as we previously talked a little bit about it, a lot we can see out of, especially out of that first point.
Yeah, that first point I think is going to set the pace for sure, as it normally does. But to get a little bit more in depth with it, you know, being able to see what kind of comps we're going to get specifically out of CIS Hope, I think they're kind of setting the pace for this matchup. You know, and it's going to be perhaps a little bit of, you know, reactive compositions coming out from Snakes. I would have to imagine, given, you know, what we know about CIS Hope, you know, how good they are right now and how in this current meta they have a lot of options. They're very, very versatile in this current meta. You know, they have Unfixed, he can play Pharah. They have Kenzie, he can play Widow. Those are two, you know, very important heroes in this current meta. They have the ability to play the Hanzo, but on top of that, and I think what is equally as important, or if potentially more important, is the fact that they are not only capable of playing the tank setup, but they're very, very good at running the tank setup. So depending on what they play, I think you'll see Snakes making a little bit of an adjustment in accordance to what they actually select themselves.
And that definitely could be the thing to dictate the rest of the series. Of course, it is a best of 5 once again, and double elimination format. The team to lose here will not be out of the tournament just yet. But it seems like the teams are getting ready, and we will soon on head out to Namabi. And once again, it is CIS Hope versus Team Snakes. And to start things off, on defense, it will be CIS Hope.
So as we jump right in here, we can see CIS Hope, as you mentioned, on defense, running a solo support right now, as we do see Shark and Zhao on their classic dive combo that they like to run often. We saw that last season in Pit as well. And it's going to be Kenzie on the Tracer. They've got in typically a support player here. Was on Junkrat, comes out on the Lucio instead. Going to give them some extra little bit of speed, some mobility. But here's that double sniper look. But interestingly enough, it's going to be Christopher on the Orisa. So I imagine they're going to want to take this high ground quickly and allow for Asking and Nesh to be able to utilize this this area right here up top to be able to, you know, take some picks.
And we'll see whether or not that will be the case, because their attention right now is kind of split. Unfixed now still being damage boosted off from the side. Kenzie will look for a couple of picks himself. Will not be too successful, but diving right in, CIS Hope will claim that first kill onto Awkward, but not without paying the price. Unfixed will go down, rest back up, but so will Awkward. So somewhat of an interesting back end for small advantage will be going over to the side of CIS Hope.
The problem here for Snakes is that if they can't get up into that high ground, they're not going to be able to push much further, despite the fact that they're getting picks. If they can't get on the high ground, they can't get their other sniper into position, they can't get their tanks into position, and their Zenyatta Awkward can't do much himself either. So they really need to take some, you know, push some ground here so they can get everybody on their team at an angle where they're actually, you know, going to be able to do something.
And at this point, considering the fact that they do have the Dragon Strike at the ready, I'm curious to see how Askin's gonna position himself to really go for with that one, considering how effective players like Leafore yesterday is gonna be. Kenzie pick up that first kill, but not without return fire. Now with the Dragon Strike, it's still Unfixed claiming that kill, and the D-suit out to Heiko. The Resurrect should be able to go through, so we'll see Heiko still get another one, but as the team fight's still going on, it's nobody winning out just yet. Overall though, with the position advantage gained here by the side of Snakes, they might just get a hold of this point.
Well, they still have to push around that corner, get their double sniper onto some opposite angles here to start really taking advantage of these angles. But they just haven't made any headway in that regard. They're getting ganked around a little bit. They have a good setup now, potentially, but Christopher is still taking damage. He's finally getting some heals now, but as Zhao goes right in, he's going to be able to find Asking in that back corner. He does get healed. Transcendence does come out from Awkward. This is their opportunity. They need to be able to finally push forward.
And if they don't at this point, they're going to be in big trouble, but Asking gets in somehow with the Storm Arrows. We'll be looking for more. Zhao actually drops it, does not get the kill, gets the reshoot. However, it was not quite good enough because Nesh had his head in the meantime, and it does seem like Snakes finally find the space that we're looking for. They claim the kills, and they claim this first tick, and eventually the first point.
It was all about making sure that they could get their players into position, but, you know, deny was the name of the game for CIS Hope. They wanted to make sure that they controlled that space, and they did just that for quite some time. And what's impressive about it is the fact that they did that with just one support, holding out that long with, or sorry, 2 supports actually. They did swap that. It's my mistake, but still,
the debate is strong.
The debate is even stronger than we thought. But there it is, another kill onto Asking. They're going to be able to go very aggressive now. You see Shark right in there. They're going to be able to claim another kill and getting on the payload again, just denying space, denying time, more especially here.
Especially since they wanted to brawl, having a fix on that Brigitte once again seems to do them just so well. So much work now being done. Soundberry even committed, so they will continue to brawl. And this is the big thing with these kind of compositions that we've seen yesterday. They will not only look to fight, but they will fight you at your spawn.
Ooh, Kenzie taken pretty low at that one, but not taken out, and that's very important here as some bullying is going on. Snakes looking for an opportunity to be able to push forward. Being able to take down Zhao like that will open up to being able to bully Sharik next, but instead they're going to take main out, so a little bit less healing. They do still not have the defense matrix, so this should be a big opportunity, but even still, they're not able to solidify these final kills to be able to finally push this forward. They've given time for Sharik to be able to generate his Primal Rage, take it out, and a lot of people are now coming back from spawn for CIS Hope.
Even Unfixed bullying Awkward there on towards the spawn. Will look to re-engage at this point. Dragon Strike is going to split them up, however, and that could finally be enough as Asking picks up a double kill. Nesh claims one himself as he did make the swap and does have the rally available for the rest of his team. Definitely wants to get it onto that Zenyatta as well. And finally, Snakes get that distance rolling on that payload.
This meta seems to be dictated by whoever is good at, the best rather, at brawling, and CIS Hope has come out, in my opinion, so far at least, ahead in that department. They've been able to take so much time off the rally coming out. Will prep the engage. They're just diving right on in. You'll see the bongo taken out, but that's the reverse self-destruct. Not going to find anything. They're right into it. The Transcendence forced out there from Awkward. They're trying to stay alive. This brawl will continue.
And it's so far a 1-for-1. The Resurrect will be available, though, especially with the use of that Valkyrie. Cave is going to be able to stay alive. Just scoot in, scoot out, get back into safety. And it's going to be Asking, claiming that double kill, having that Dragon Strike charged up once again. Nicely done. They even boop Sharik, bully him into that Dragon Strike. Easy play of the game for the Hanzo potentially here, as they will continue to rapidly approach that second objective.
Still, though, they have to be kind of wary of that timer. 54 seconds remain. Yes, CIS Hope won't be able to make it back around to be able to contest before that second point is unlocked, as we can see it happening right there, but they'll be able to make it back rather quickly with that Lucio speed boost, allowing them to get into position. They're getting aggressive once again, and this time around, they're going to be going with the Reinhardt-Zarya combo as opposed to, the typical Winston setup, and they just walk right in.
And Unfixed seems to have Awkward's number this map, as he will claim that first kill of the team fight. Kenzie coming in on that Hanzo will even claim a late kill onto Cave, and with the opposing team, in this case Snakes, being pushed back towards their spawn, things are looking really good for CIS Hope to potentially hold them off before that final objective, especially considering the ultimates they have charged up, and even Zhao and Unfixed themselves rapidly getting there soon enough.
Awkward up at 85%, really dishing out a good bit of damage with those right clicks. Definitely going to have to be countered out by an Earthshatter. Look for this aggression from Sharik as he's trying to get in there. Dragon Strike's going to come through, but that's going to be the Earthshatter blocked.
And now with the Transcendence being used by main, they're going to look to turn this around in their favor, but the Dragon Strike actually being used there by Asking is not claimed too much. The Graviton is going to be at the ready. Kenzie does not have his Dragon Strike at the ready, but they do not need it, as it's going to be still CIS Hope continuing through, pushing the opposition all the way towards their spawn. 56 seconds left, and looking forward, while they do have some ultimates built up soon enough, Snakes still will have a tough time getting that third point.
They've really kind of relied on Asking to get these fight wins, and when he's taken out like that, Kenzie just dishing out the pain with those arrows from that Hanzo. I mean, really kind of just working to deny Asking if he can. It's going to slow them down a lot. He has the Dragon Strike again, though. It's actually on both sides, but Asking, this is an opportunity for him to make yet another play, a heroic one at that, to enable them to get some more distance on this card.
But the problem is, look at their health bars already so low for this team of Snakes. Even the shield really being taken out on both sides when it comes to the respective Reinhardt's Earthshatter. We'll see if it will have a bigger impact this time around, as the mental game is still strong. Graviton is gonna go through the kill. First claimed on the side of Snakes, and now is Asking picks up a double from the combo. They finally get the team fight win, but they need to push it all the way till the end through overtime.
Well, there it is again, the Dragon Strike Graviton combo allowing them to get some more distance, and now that it's in overtime, they have to be perfect. They have to be absolutely perfect, and look at what CIS Hope have stacked up, and I'll tell you what it is. It's everything. They've got everything in the books right now to be able to turn this around and finally put a stop officially to this. Graviton will come down. Earthshatter won't find anything from Christopher, so they really have... I mean, this is going to be very tough. They're going to have to get a lot of kills inside of this Transcendence. Earthshatter catches one, and there it is. The Mercy taken out. Everybody off the point. The fight doesn't even finish. And that will be that. Round one complete. They get the stop. I mean, CIS Hope, phenomenal defense, but a couple of great moments, particularly coming out of Asking, allowed Snakes to continue pushing forward, almost achieving 60 meters towards that final objective.
And now that we will be swapping over sides, this still can be looking way different when compared to what we've seen so far. We might see different adaptations come out of Snakes now that they will be on the defensive side themselves. Well, the Pharah didn't seem to work out too great for CIS Hope. I definitely liked their compositions once they swapped out of it, but I can, at the same time, see the value in it.
So once again, it seems like Christopher and Heiko want to go for this Orisa setup, and they will be playing double sniper, which, I mean, already you can see how this might cause an issue, because this might be very prone to being taken down and just completely eradicated by a dive style composition, especially one that's aggressive in your face. You know, wait for an opportunity from, you know, a Pharah or something, and there's Unfixed on the Pharah. To just jump right in, and Shark and Zhao are just so consistent. They're so good in their communication and their execution to jump on the same target, provide a good damage burst right off the bat. A lot of front-loaded damage to be expected there. So if Unfixed or Kenzie can kind of weaken them a little bit, and even to some extent Main, if he does wind up picking this, you know, this will be a great opportunity for Shark and Zhao to get up there, be aggressive, and then now that Kenzie makes a swap to the Tracer, if he works his way around and kind of just covers the back so their supports can't fall back much further if they do wind up taking the high ground, where do you go if you're on the defense? Where do you even go?
And we've seen how Awkward is definitely going to be favoring that Zenyatta, and he will be prone to a lot of danger once again. And now that the round will start, and interesting to see Christopher on that Orisa as well. Could have potentially seen a Winston and play that more reactive counter dive potentially with the likes of those two double sniper setups. But so far, looking to dive right in. Already a lot of problems potentially for Snakes, as Asking trying to play around the shield, trying to make something happen. Doesn't quite find anything, and already one tick on the board for CIS Hope. Getting close to that second. Nobody contesting Heiko, only barely getting in, and they need to contest.
Oh, they're playing this corner pretty well, though, so they were almost achieved the full cap, and Kenzie is still behind, so still accomplishing the same thing as he's looking to try to get away from this Hanzo, who's really putting some work in here. But again, that backside is so exposed to Kenzie. If he can put some damage in on that Mercy, he will find the kill, but not before the rest of his team falls. They still acquired 2 ticks in that time, though, with a minute down, so they only really need to just do that one more time, and that'll be that. They'll be able to push forward through that street phase with a decent time if they can get it quickly.
And at the very least, though, for Snakes, they did play that really well, just like you said, especially around that corner. But it was very, very close to going through all the way for CIS Hope, as we'll see that infra side being popped in. Knows exactly what to expect here for Snakes. Already picking up 1 kill onto Unfixed, popping that Transcendence, making sure the rest of his team is alive and healthy onto the point. They do not want to give out that third tick. And once again, Snakes playing that positional advantage really well here.
They really warded that dive off quite expertly. Asking on the Hanzo is even keeping Mercy at bay at the moment as well, hunting him down. But now we'll see, again, still just those 2 ticks, but another minute being drained off the clock now, as we do see Unfixed with another opportunity to perhaps find some redemption, as Nesh found him very quickly in that last fight.
And we'll see them try to dive right in. Sheree going in with the proper reach, but Nesh finds Kenzie to start things off in this particular fight, and as a result, we'll see that self-destruct coming out of Zhao. Can he find those kills to secure that team fight and that third tick. So far, it seems like it's not going to be happening as Heiko manages to find that kill in that window. And with Asking picking up a double kill, it is going to be all about Snakes still on Mbani right now.
Asking and Nesh have just found ways to be so elusive in these fights. So hard to take them down as they fall back. You can see Sharik in the back line there, just trying to stay away and bide some time, long enough for the rest of his team to go in so he can play off that backside again, as we saw Kenzie just before. But they're going to have to be careful. They have to make sure that they're watching their angles, because if they allow Nesh and Asking to get these first picks every single time so consistently, they're going to continue to struggle. And it seems like Sharik has been spotted once again.
And now it's full on dive here coming out of CIS Hope. Even Unfix going on to the Genji, something we haven't seen too much of course, this season. We'll see whether or not that will be the key pick here. Sound Barrier being blocked by Hen, and so far still playing around that corner. Unfix still finds that kill onto Asking a big opening pick in this fight. See if it's gonna be enough, as Dragon Strike was at the ready. Nesh though still finds one. It's not over just yet. Christopher still alive onto the point. Nesh finds a double kill, but nobody on the point. OD go back in with the help of that Transcendent, and it's not over yet.
Awkward has been so solid with these Transcendences, keeping these fights alive for his team, making sure that they can stay in them. Awkward taking down pretty low, but manages to get some healing from his teammates. And once again, control goes back over to Snakes at 99.6%. So close and yet so far away. 8 seconds left. They have that double flank going as Unfixed and Kenzie work their way around the side. It seems like they have been spotted. They're going to go in and Heiko
deleted.
And Nesh both take him down so quickly.
That's the problems you face when you're against Nesh and that Brigitte, and with those kills going through for the side of Snakes, it seems like they might have done it overtime, taking through. Only Zhao left on the point. Lone Baby Diva's not gonna be enough, even though he did get one kill. It is going to be Snakes equalizing the series 1-1.
Great adaptations being made by Snakes as well. We saw already how, you know, they were able to utilize that double sniper. It was so solid against Unfixed on the Pharah. As soon as we saw some swaps, especially from Kenzie, Brigitte followed right after, and when they tried to bring in the Genji, it was completely countered out. That double flank just got eliminated. I mean, that was insane. So smart from Snakes to be able to go into that match that way.
It's not just the quick adaptation, it's also how they played around it. Just like you said, playing around that corner really to its maximum potential in the sense, just waiting it out till the very end. 99.6%, still getting in when needed and getting all the team fight wins.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they played that corner, you know, we've seen it a couple times, you know, especially on a map like Junkertown and that second phase of the map, how teams start on the high ground, move down, and then play a corner, especially when you have an Orisa-style composition. That really kind of favors that, especially when you can get some control by just throwing out those orbs, the halts, and just pulling everybody in. But on a map like this, against a team like this, I mean, you have to combine stuff like that.
And it's been an absolute blast to see the series already. We might, or actually we will see at the very least
finally
an escort map. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. No free O this time, as we'll head into Hanamura with a 1-1 series, already making it really interesting. Going into this one, might have thought CIS Hope definite advantage, but Snakes coming out with really good adaptations, really good strategies.
I mean, we saw a couple of moments, even on the control map on Lijiang Tower, where, you know, they, even aside from Nesh just being a little bit of a sneaky snake there, you know, he was able to, or rather, the team was able to really have a couple of really solid moments as a unit, you know, looking really cohesive, playing as a team very well. And we just saw a little bit more of that on Nimbani, and perhaps an inability to adapt actually from CIS Hope. So instead of what I said at the beginning, where it was going to be CIS Hope kind of dictating things and it would be up to the Snakes to adapt, it was actually kind of, it was, well, in a way it was kind of that way, because if you look at the way that they defended too, we saw the Tracer swap from Kenzie after unfixed Pharah pick wasn't quite working at that time. And then as soon as he made that pick, we saw the Brigitte come out roughly at the same time as the Genji, and that was just a hard counter straight up again. So it worked out quite nicely. They were playing well as a team, but I mean, CIS Hope now is probably thinking, hey, this wasn't supposed to happen. So,
and now going into said just Hanamura, will be so interesting to see what the compositions will be for both of these teams, knowing what we've seen so far. We could actually have a little bit of May play, because even during the second season of the Overwatch Pitch Championship, Unfix did pick it up. So we've kind of theory crafted whether or not about May could be a good counter to this brawly composition, but we'll find out soon enough as the round will start. And
there it is, Unfixed back on the May. So like we mentioned, it's not exactly a surprise, but it is something a little, I guess you could say, unique to CIS Hope at the moment, because not a lot of teams are really pulling this strategy out. Yes, we haven't really seen as much Hanamura yet so far, but this is something that, you know, could work quite well against potentially a 3-tank style composition, just be able to isolate those tanks, be able to section them away from their supports, but they're not running it. They're going to be running a dive instead with the double sniper.
And we'll see whether or not that will be, or give them rather the upper hand. As so far, Christopher frozen in place, Unfixed right on his tail, looking for that kill. Will claim it in the end, but the rest of his team potentially out of position. We'll see Nesh trying to find that angle. He gets and really low, but not quite low enough. Cave though, all the way from the backside, gets Christopher back up. Sneaky res, but the team is split up, and I don't think they can get on top of this one.
A little sniper battle between Kenzie and Nesh. We saw it already before with Asking actually in that duel, but Shark back into the corner. We've already seen that as well in this one, and he's going to be eliminated rather quickly, as we will see Snakes just taking their time, finding the picks, getting the control as much as they can.
Oh, but the Graviton does come through. So far, it is a 1-for-1 trade as Nesh did claim that Zenyatta once more looking for more. It's going to be the Dragon Strike coming out, claims the kill onto Kenzie. Zhao will go out, and Snakes finding potentially that first tick and more.
Well, we see the tank coming back in. It's going to be Shark entering the fray once again. And there's the Blizzard from Unfixed. Can he hold this together for his team? Asking is pretty low here as Unfixed is looking right at him. The wall comes up. He's still alive on this. And Unfixed finds the kill as Asking goes over the wall.
But he bought his team enough time because Ann managed to stay alive because of it. We did see Sharik come back in, and as a result, only one tick was achieved for the side of Snakes. CIS help, especially with the help of Unfix, who is brought back up with the Resurrect, will be able to stabilize things for now.
A lot of times you see a Mei pick being used in a stall, and they already had the Mei ready for the stall when they needed it. Unfixed really pulled it together for him. The Blizzard just slowed that all down, bringing in the wall as well, just to find a little extra bit of time, finding some kills inside of it. I mean, that was excellent play. And now as we look forward into this next fight, it is kind of, you know, all over the place at the moment, but Shark is pulling everybody back out at the moment, and nothing is going to be achieved so far.
Christopher just trying to split the team apart. Will not be too successful. Kenzie will get that first kill, and Transcendence now popped on the other side. Awkward is looking to keep his team alive. However, it's not going to be too successful as we'll see Zhao claim the kill on that Angry Winston. Tried desperately to run away, was not too successful. And now, with 1 minute left on the clock, CIS Hope looking really poised here.
And we will as well wait for that Graviton surge. Blizzard at 60% once again, so even if they do push in here, if Unfixed is allowed to do too much more, they're going to have to worry about that for a second time on their attack, and that could really kind of open things up for CIS Hope if they start losing, to have that momentum shift back into their favor.
Oh, but this is another big problem. Heiko went off onto the side, so the Graviton could come through, and there it is. Oh, pick up a bunch of them, but the return kills are still good. Cave does go down in the end. It seems like it will be enough, even though Nesh trying desperately now to still make things happen for his team. We'll have 25 seconds left on the clock. All the way onto the side. It's going to be Christopher flattened by Sharik coming in, drifting in, and at this point, it's going to be one last-ditch effort here for Snakes.
And you have Nesh on the Tracer, who's going to be triple blinking at this point, where he has to get all the way over to the point, and he's going to go double blink, wait for it. Oh, Mei takes him out. A headshot from Kenzie there as well helps him. So doubling up on that one, and now Kenzie behind this shield has so much protection to take this shot at the angle that he's on, and we will see the Blizzard come down to follow up. And look at the isolation, how these supports aren't allowed to play the game at all.
And that's the beautiful thing of what CIS Hope is doing with this main, their composition just splitting them apart, but still, Snakes trying their best to get a hold of this point. Cave that's going with the Resurrect. Nash trying to keep the dream alive. He has another kill this time onto Ann, and with the Dragon Strike coming through, will be enough. Sharik does go down. Jaw soon to fall as well as he loses his tooth, but Unfixed, never mind, will not manage to stay alive this time, and through overtime, Snakes do manage to get that first objective.
Sigh of relief. Sigh of relief. A collective one at that, too. But now they have 4 minutes to claim this second objective. Looks we will see 2 swaps on the defense, or rather 3 swaps on the defense, if I'm not mistaken, where Ann is actually going to be on the Ana, which we have seen before. And a nice pick there from Nesh to start this fight off. A little bit of a 6v5 advantage for them now. And Unfixed being that other change, along with Sharik there, as we will see the Genji being pulled back into it, and no Brigitte this time to get that clear answer.
But at this point, at the very least, the only thing Snakes might be looking for is a positional advantage, but it's going to be Unfixed, claiming a triple kill on that Genji, and now it's Sharik cleaning up house on that team fight. It will be CIS Hope still holding out strong. No ticks, of course, achieved as of yet for their opponents. But at the very least, they will soon enough have quite a few ultimates to work with.
I'm really looking forward to watching the way that Shark plays on this map with that Ana. We can see Nesh trying to look for that angle to try to spot out the Ana and maybe find a kill to make sure that they lessen the impact that Shark can have. Because as long as he's playing aggressive like this in that top corner, and N is in that back left corner, as we can see, that's going to become a problem because he's going to be able to be completely just heal botted up constantly over and over again, and eventually they will get that nano boost on him, and he's going to become a big, powerful character to have to deal with later on.
And Kenzie does manage to find one kill. Will be resurrected back up, but that is not available anymore for Cave if need be going into this next team phase. They're still looking for that high ground advantage, but seems like we'll have a short pause. Soon enough, we'll try to continue on with the match as we see 4 ultimates now ready for the side of Snakes. Make that a 5, or rather 5th, with Christopher soon to have Primal Race. Seems like wasn't a real big issue, luckily enough. Looking to get that high ground advantage. As said, it's still a 2-for-1 in favor of CIS Hope still.
But is it enough? Yes, they take down the duo of En and Sharik. That's certainly, you know, you would expect that to cause issues, but given the fact that they've already been taken down, you know, 2 of their players have been eliminated already, they're going to have to wait for them to come back, and that's already enough time for everybody else, you know, Sharik and En especially, to be able to come back themselves too. So right now it's going to be a little bit of a reset, a little bit of breathing time for everybody, some time to strategize, look forward, what kind of ults they want to use. And this is going to be very, very important to talk about now because, look, across the board, everybody has vision, everybody has ults. Now it's about what are you going to do with them.
And I'm curious to see who the target of that nano boost will be, considering the fact that the blade come out, but Transcendence will be there to keep the rest of CIS Hope alive, right for the Dragon Strike too. But in the meantime, Nesh does manage to find the kill onto Kenzie, especially with the help of Christopher, who went in with the primary 2 kills, favoring the side of Snakes. But now Unfix looking to answer with the blade, claims one, will be pressured out, gets taken out too. And so far Snakes looking to build an advantage, but Zhao will be the target of that nano boost and looking to get a hold of this point. It will be Snakes getting also close to that first tick, asking, still finding the big kills, getting that second tick suited up, gets another one onto Zhao, and can they do it?
Oh, there's the unfixed Mei coming out for a second time, asking, just gonna pile drive main, clothesline him out of this fight. Kenzie keeping things alive with that Tracer. Sharks coming in, they're gonna start trying to get some kills, and if En is allowed to keep throwing out those biotic grenades, they might be able to find some, but Nesh will cancel him out as well. Zhao trying to make sure to stall this one, and Nesh asking, these 2 snipers for Snakes, I mean, how do you deal with this?
Oh, these DPS players right now for Snakes just being on point, securing kill after kill. At this point, it seems like CIS Hope is just going to try and stall things as much as possible. With 16 seconds left, it will be Snakes getting that second objective, but still making it really difficult for them. CIS Hope almost holding them off from that first objective too.
I mean, 16 seconds. Yes, it was a solid defense when you look at that, you know, taking them down to a timer like that. But given what you know about how Numbani went, given what you know about how close they were to getting that stop on the first point and then again on the second point, it has to feel, I mean, it has to feel awful at this point because, I mean, now you have this daunting task of, yes, we have to get the first point. Now we also have to get the second point, and we already know that we can be stopped on the first. We know what they're capable of, especially when we know that they're going to have more than likely a sniper at play and how good they are at that. Now the question is, what kind of thing are we going to see from CIS Hope here? You know, we typically see, you know, back in the day, back in the last season of Pit, it would be something like a triple tank or a quad tank. And it seems like this time around we're going to get it one more time. And it will be triple tank with the solo DPS. This time, Kenzie is on the Pharah as opposed to Unfixed, and they're going to bring out En and Main on 2 supports themselves as well. And that's going to be the Zenyatta as the flex support, as opposed to, you know, maybe a Moira or a Mercy. Probably a Mercy being the more usual pick for this type of composition, if there is one, you know.
And on the other side, we see a different side of Team Snakes. We see Christopher once again on that Orisa and even asking on Junkrat, so he's going to be able to potentially close off a few sections of those entryways with the traps, just make things difficult, expecting this tank-heavy lineup, seeing how effective some of these teams can really be against it when they have a Junkrat on these assault maps. Not quite sure if this is going to be ideal, but it's going to be interesting to watch nevertheless.
Okay, so now they swap things up. They're going quad tank something we mentioned. But again, with those same takes, Zenyatta as well as the Lucio. So this is going to be interesting to see how they're going to try to keep up with the healing, as we do see main actually swapping. So they are going to go for that standard quad tank as we have seen in the past. And this is very similar to the 303 Brigitte comp, but oh man, what a way to make a statement right at the beginning.
They're trying to get into a position, and Zhao losing his suit is just going to go for the reset instead. And the problem is, we see Team Snakes just instantly look to capitalize off of the advantage. Now, only 4 people left for CIS Hope next to the point. Will still be deadly, though, considering their HP pools and the amount of healing that can still potentially come through. They should be able to stay alive and go towards that point. Kenzie, being the first one, gets dropped pretty low, should be able to stay alive. But in the meantime, Asking has his Riptire at the ready.
Oh, there it goes. It's pulled out. They do see the Lucio and kill him off, so now it's going to be up to the Coalescence and Main to try to keep this fight alive, and it's going to be very tough at this stage. They managed to get 2 ticks regardless, as Christopher tries to come around the corner, not being able to play it like we saw on the last map, and look at the way Unfixed is just shredding the competition.
Oh, but that bought enough space for the rest to come through onto Christopher, and as a result, the rest of the kills aren't going to come through as the barriers back up online. In the meantime, though, N finds 1 kill, so 1 small victory there. However, it's not going to be good enough, as the rest of the team will manage to stabilize on to the point. 2 ticks, though, already lost, 2 minutes and 21 seconds left. However, still in favor of Snakes. They will have quite a bit in terms of those ultimates. They can answer the Graviton with the likes of that Transcendence on the side of Awkward. And it's just been an absolute brawl as expected with these kind of comps.
Nesh is going to make a swap, moving over to the Hanzo. It's previously on the Widowmaker, so going from sniper to sniper, but Nesh should be able to answer a little bit more, I would say, successfully with that Hanzo pick. He can still get the snipes on those more squishy targets, Main and Eng in the back, but also be able to have that extra little bit of burst damage and extra little bit of shield destruction as well when he comes back from spawn.
And speaking of picks, there it is with Storm Arrow, managing to deal more than enough damage. The Riptire does come out. Does he find a kill? No, the Fire Strike gets it out of the way, but in the meantime, it's still all about Snakes in that kill feed, as they will manage to claim another and another one time and time again. And with another team fight loss here, it seems like CIS Hope, while they do have a lot of ultimates to work with, still, they will have 1 to 2 team fights left for this first point.
CIS a little bit less hope now, because looking a lot like Numbani. They're starting to generate those ults once again, and this is where the power and the lethality comes back into play, as we will have to see how it plays into the Transcendence that's available from Awkward. The Bongo comes out, and now they really need to find these kills. Graviton comes out and followed by the Transcendence. Look at that Dragon Strike from Nash. Oh, but the answer!
What? Zhao with the bigger answer, bigger bang. Awkward left on the point, will be taken down, and where it looked dire, you did have hope, but there's definitely hope for CIS Hope, as they will claim that first objective. And in what a fashion.
We will. I mean, here's the thing. When they come back into this next fight, Brunch, I mean, N is going to have Sound Barrier. They're going to have that Earth Shatter. If they can get into a good position here quickly, speed boost over there, make sure that they can take this high ground away and find a pick with that, get onto the point and hold the Earth Shatter, this will be amazing for them to be able to take this very quickly, and they have the tools to do it.
And we'll see them already play aggressively. Kenzie manages to find 1 kill. The self-destruct finds nothing. And it's all about CIS Hope right now onto the point. But in the meantime, Zhao did lose his suit and his life for it. But it's not over just yet, as they will continue to brawl it out onto the point. No one else falling just yet. But without that main tank in there, it's going to be an easy Earth Shatter once again for Sherrick. Kenzie claiming another kill onto Asking. Definitely making that DPS life very tough for the side of Snakes, as they will continue to look for stalls. Beautiful post bomb will secure another, as it seems like CIS Hope looking to close this one out.
They have control of the point, 4 bodies on it. Kenzie rotating around the side, putting pressure onto the Junkrat. Asking will fall, and it looks like CIS Hope could take this with about 3:30, and they do indeed. And that final timer now, with the extra given time that we have going over for Snakes, will be 4:18 as they take that second objective. 1 minute, of course, goes to Snakes with that extra little boost there, and it will be Snakes attacking first. But definitely a little bit of a gear shift that we saw from CIS Hope as they entered that second fight, I was trying to highlight a little bit about the tools that they had available, and they used them perfectly in that fight. I mentioned how Shark wants to hold on to that Earth Shatter, make sure he gets a lot of value out of that one, and that's exactly what he did. Held onto it for just the right time. Make sure you take the D.Va out, you take the stall away, that option completely away when you take the D.Va out of the equation, put some more pressure onto the backline that way as well.
And not only that, and having that sound barrier still available going to that second point made sure that once they got there, they had an advantage and they just could get a hold of that particular objective in a favorable position overall, not really allowing their opponents here in Snakes to get high ground or get anything done. And as a result, even though if you just look at the numbers straight up, it doesn't seem like it was this close of a series so far, but it could have gone really either way already.
Yeah, both teams with an opportunity to get a first point hold, but we've seen this before. We've seen this before right now. 2-1-3 cop coming out for CIS Hope, and an aggressive posture, an aggressive positioning right off the bat. They already know that they have 1 minute to go. They're going to go right in, and they don't see them behind them.
Already claiming that first kill. It's going to be Sharik swinging away kill after kill. They know they have the advantage. They know they would not expect such a bold move out of CIS Hope, and the big thing is, with only 36 seconds left, that's so much value.
Incredible value. Half the time is now off the clock, and not only that, but you get the Earth Shatter as well. Sharik was able to help swing that fight, or rather keep that fight in their hands in the last cap that they got, and now he's going to have the opportunity to do just the same. They just need to make sure that they win this battle. Christopher's already down. This is the opportunity.
And Earth Shatter does go for not a lot of value out of it, and as a result, CIS Hope will manage to steamroll their way for this team fight and the potential hold here on this first objective. 3 seconds left, nobody near the objective, and CIS Hope definitely paying off really well with the potential risk, because if they had something like a Hanzo to scout it out, it could have been really dangerous for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of taken aback that they didn't expect it, that they didn't even, kind of have someone just check that real quick, because it really caught them off guard. But you know that when you have a minute on the clock, when you're down like that, you know that the opponent team is going to be, attempting to try to steal as much time away from you as possible, so you don't have many opportunities. When you have a minute, they know that you have at least 2. More often than not, unless that first fight goes for quite a long time, which is sometimes the case, sure. But when they can take away the possibility of having 2 of those fights, when they know that if they, can draw that fight out a little bit, if they do start losing momentum, maybe catch them off guard, get that first pick. If that's going to be an available option, they're going to take it. So you need to be able to check those angles. You need to be able to look at those off angles and make sure that they aren't there, especially on a map like this, when you know how often, especially in EU, I remember back in Pit Season 2, Lolzish did this a lot, sitting in that room exactly and catching a lot of people off guard that way.
I mean, speaking of Lolzish, on IMVOL, he had, 2 giant Earth Shatters in 1 minute, I believe, last season. So that was really, really crazy. But at the same fashion, we'll see whether or not CIS Hope can close this one out. 33% is all they need on this first point. And from their opponents, Snakes now running the same composition will look to hold them off.
Ness trying to dish out a ton of damage. They're just trying to make sure that they stifle this tank comp that's coming through once again. 4 tanks for CIS Hope. Backed, of course, by N and Main on Lucio and Moira respectively. They're just going to work their way right around the side. Again, kind of finding themselves in a little bit of a choke here. So, they might actually redirect. We'll see if they want to go all the way around that corner, if they want to go through that choke that Junkrat's spamming into right now, and they're going to opt for the high ground.
But as said previously, asking already at 70% with so many tanky members, it's going to be easy to charge the ultimate up, but going in with the Coalescence, we will see CIS Hope look to potentially get a hold of this 33% point cap and claiming that first kill. Dragon Strike does come through, but still so close to it. Nobody on the point soon enough, especially if they keep them off. It will be the lunge coming out of Nish, but no, he does not get it in time.
That was so smart. Again, CIS Hope bringing that big brain into play, and was staying on speed for pretty much that entire time that they were waiting to engage. And we saw Main actually doing all of the healing so that they could engage with the Coalescence already backing them up to have that extra little bit. And you see that play right there. Zhao being the answer that they needed to unlock that point the first time around, and then I think a little bit smarter about the way that they approached it the next time. So great adaptation made by CS Hope, really smart play with their two supports, and I think, you know, excellent showing from them.
And just an excellent series so far, as we will be right back with the first escort map of the third season after this short commercial break. What an exciting series so far. Even though it's 2-1 in CIS Hope, it's been an interesting back and forth. Snakes coming out, or rather both teams really coming out with interesting adaptations, good strategies, and really good play.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see how we go from here because as we move forward into our first time this season, at least, yes, it's very early on, so we probably shouldn't be harping on this a little bit, but we've been excited to see some escorts, so we're finally going to get some of that. Moving on to Dorado as our next map. I'm curious to see what we're going to get out of this because as we've already seen, we've seen a little bit of Junkrat play. We've seen a little bit, of a lot of different things. Pharah, we've seen Hanzo, we've seen Widow, we've seen the double sniper together. We've seen Tracer more than I think we've seen it anywhere else. And we mentioned already how Najini was going to be someone who probably wanted to pick that up a little bit. But I would say so far, it's been a lot more of, Kenzie pulling out the Tracers, I would say more so than anybody else.
And not only that, they even showed their way through with something like a Genji for their composition with Unfixed. Well, to be fair, Unfixed even pulling out the Mei, playing it really well, was interesting to see. Not quite sold yet on that being the exact counter to the Brawl comp or to something along those lines, especially since Snakes didn't necessarily run that full Brawl. But moving on to Dorado, as we said, so many options looking forward here. It's most likely going to be the first defensive team that will dictate the pace of this series, or this map rather, because it seems like, well, yes, as you said, CIS Hope could be the ones to dictate, considering their Snakes adaptations. They might answer as well.
Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to be getting dive or if we're going to be getting tank, because it seems like there's just those two different looks, specifically from CIS Hope, where when we're going to see them attacking, which they're going to be going up first with their attack. Is it going to be the dive? Is it going to be, brought in with a Widow or potentially Unfixed or even Kenzie for a second there, going with a Pharah pick or something like that? Or is it instead going to be the tank? Is it going to be that look that worked out for them on Hanamura?
A lot of options should be available, but we will go straight into Dorado as the map is ready. Players are ready, and as said, CIS Hope on the attacking side, whereas Snakes now setting up onto the defense. It seems like they're going to play around Christopher's Orisa. I got to say, the way this team plays around that Orisa pick has been so interesting, and it is Kenzie on the Bastion, the El Presidente comp once again.
And this might actually work against that style because it's going to shred those barriers. Christopher won't be able to play those angles alongside his team. So as long as we see, some good shielding happening from Sharik, that's going to be a really big opening for Kenzie to play off of that and put some pressure down onto these tanks and, disallow these snipers from getting these good angles.
But nicely done here by the side of Snakes, making sure they go in, get that first pick onto Kenzie. Will be brought back up as N was looking to be safe enough, but as I say that, Asking still finds that Bastion pick in the end, and it's all about Snakes as they find the ankles and the double snipers definitely finding the kills.
Snakes is one of the first teams we've seen this tournament, being able to utilize this double sniper to this effect. I mean, we've seen it already, but to see it this way, I mean, they are just completely stomping them out. But now we're going to be seeing, a little bit of a change up. Unfixed is going to be going over to the Brigitte. Kenzie now off of the Bastion and onto the Hanzo. So a more standard comp, I would have to say, but still without that Zarya, that could provide a little bit of extra support and, still keep up with the damage a little bit if they choose to take that one as well.
Dragon Strike doesn't quite catch anyone just yet. Colossus was used to start that engage for CIS Hope. Zhao dropping really, really low, does manage to stay alive, however, and as a result, will look to re-engage the payload really, really close to that first objective. Nobody contesting as of yet. Finally trying to go in. It's just Heiko on that point, but the question is going to buy enough time for the rest of his team to win this one out, as it is CIS Hope claiming the kills and look to claim that first point.
They will finally take it as they get that last kill onto Ness, who dropped down from above. 4:25 on the clock now. Brunge is Unfixed with that swap to Brigitte, helped them unlock this one, and Kenzie has swapped the sniper once again. He is now onto the Widow, and this time it's going to be the dive. Zhao was still on that Diva, so this is just, one tank making that swap. Now they're going to be able to get up into that high ground, kind of put some, suppress it a little bit as they dive up. Sharks will be able to fall back down and just make sure that they're backed up and not taking pot shots at the rest of the team.
Snakes now looking to counter that potentially as they will try to engage with the Dragon Strike, splitting them up on Fix. All by Sloans himself will be taken out, and just like that, it's gonna be Snakes once again winning this one out, and that's the big thing. Dragon Strike doesn't necessarily have to claim a kill by itself, because if you split the team up that way, you're just gonna have an easy team fight win with just one single ultimate committed at that.
Nesh playing this high ground. Again, that double sniper has been so oppressive whenever they do pick it. And CIS Hope just doesn't really have enough options to kind of deal with it, because Kenzie just can't take the right angles to get up there. Zhao and Shark don't have the same firepower that they're just running into.
At the very least, though, now having rally up, we'll see them group up potentially soon enough as Christopher dives a little too deep, gets caught by Unfixed, claims that kill for now, making it a 6v5. Zhao gets another onto Cave, and just like that, CIS Hope still pushing through, even with Nesh claiming one kill for himself. It's not really going to be quite enough as we move on towards that second objective here for CIS Hope. Asking now, dancing around, trying to delay things ever so slightly, but it's going to be the regroup for them.
And Christopher's up here, but this is a big opportunity as Nesh has snuck his way back around, looking for an opportunity to potentially, put some pain down onto the back line or anybody that might be walking back from respawn. Not going to find anyone just yet, and on the point in the meantime, Rally will come out, self-destruct will follow, but no kills yet on the board. They're just kind of hitting each other a little bit lightly right now, but finally a little bit of a dive coming through as Shark still on that high ground. Nesh trying to take those shots off this angle inside of, gets the kill.
And with this double kill now going through in favor of the defensive side of Snakes, we'll see them potentially win this team fight out and send their opponents back to the spawn. Awkward claims another onto Sharik, now looking to clean things up with the rest of the team. It will be once again Snakes winning this one out, and just due to the fact that Nesh, lying it away off to the side, was able to find their angles, was able to push the opponents away from that objective too, and just make sure they claim that team fight win.
Almost saw Zhao actually sneak that one in Baby Diva for him, but not quite getting it, just 3 meters away. But CIS Hope now only a minute and a half left on their time bank at the moment to get this next objective sorted, and won't have a lot of time if they do cap it to be able to move through the rest of the map. Dragon Strike at the ready though for asking. He's just kind of poking away, trying to suppress their next entry as Nesh looking for that opening pick, and will find it.
And with the 6v5 advantage, we'll see whether or not UN will have an angle to get that resurrect. He will, but in the meantime, Kenzie falls short as well. So asking, claiming kill after kill will make things very difficult for CIS Hope with 55 seconds left. Christopher even popping that primal rage and make sure he pushed away. But considering the ultimates available, considering the fact that Sharik is a little bit out of position there, CIS Hope are down to pretty much one more potential team fight here.
As Shara came up, it was just a quick answer, and asking, taking a little bit of damage there, but Nesh will have the end for sight. They have the vision advantage now as Dragon Strike goes through it, claims the Mercy. So now CIS Hope are going to have to back out. They need their Mercy to push out and get in there. 20 seconds remain. This is their last opportunity. They do have both support ults coming online as N gets his. Main will have his shortly. And they do have as well Unfixed finally getting with that kill onto asking. His Dragon Strike picks coming out still though. Nesh has yet to be answered.
And we'll see even with the Resurrects coming through, whether or not CIS Hope can finally make something happen as it will collapse on top of that payload with the help of the Transcendence. Kenzie finally finds Nesh, getting that ultra important pick with the Widowmakers being down here for the defensive side of Snake, looking to still return fire. The Dragon Strike will come first. Aikoto gets a big double kill off of the self-destruct, and with the rest of the team now claiming another kill onto Zhao, it will be Team Snakes eventually halting the push from CIS Hope.
CIS Hope just struggling with the dive to put pressure on Nesh and asking, finding these flanking routes as well. This double sniper has proven time and time again to be an issue for them. CIS Hope needs to find a way to get an answer for this. They need to find a way to figure this out, because we know in other spots in this bracket, there are teams that are, pretty strong at double sniper as well. So if this becomes an issue for them, knowing how to deal with it, especially, having an Orisa into that comp as well, having Christopher, being a solid Winston as well. Yes, that plays into it, but still, they need to be able to deal with those double snipers type pickups. Asking and Nesh have really put a lot of hurt onto this roster of CIS Hope, and they just have yet to really kind of answer it so far, other than, maybe a couple of picks here and there from Kenzie.
And even though CIS Hope did not complete the push up till the very end, we've seen a lot of teams being held before that first point, and at this point, considering the fact that we've kind of praised CIS Hope for their defensive style, that could definitely be a problem for Snakes, but going into their attacking side, they gotta be feeling good, they gotta be feeling confident, and that's what they need now that they will have potentially that double sniper comp once again. But Christopher, really think it's gonna stick to that Orisa again?
Well, I mean, it seems like they're doubling down with it. They're going for the double sniper. They're going to be going with Heiko on the Roadhog for now. We might see a swap soon. There's a lot of possibilities. They could make, adjustments before that time ticks down to 0 and the attack officially starts. And even after, we've seen teams, make a little bit of adjustments, in that time as well. But what's interesting to me, and I think they might actually still go for it, especially considering how effective they've been with it, is the double sniper. And that's going to be into Unfixed and Kenzie playing double sniper themselves. So they will go for this. They are going to be playing the Orisa as well as the Roadhog setting up. But they're going to have to be careful here, because if they have anybody not behind that shield, Kenzie and Unfixed should be able to find those picks.
And they will have the help of that Diva on top of it as well. Zhao with the Matrix could potentially be the deciding factor when it comes to the team fights time and time again to start things off here with Snake's offensive push. So far looking to get things done. CIS Hope now maybe struggling a little bit to get a hold of a good position here. Even Sharik will be the first one to fall down, and things already looking stellar for Snakes.
They're just going to push right on through. I mean, almost no answer again. CIS Hope struggling to deal with this double sniper, as we saw Asking just finding so many headshots in that last fight, able to get those arrows right into the domes of his enemies. And he's going to go forward, sitting at 90% towards his next stall, and actually gets it online as he finds Shardik just hiding inside of the church there. And now Christopher, again, just surfing through on that payload.
And we'll see Nash pick up a double kill at that. No double sniper for you, CIS Hope. And it is going to be a big advantage into this next team fight for Snakes. Nash will drop low, however, managing to stay alive means that Aski's going to be off to the side once again. However, could potentially be punished by that Winston. We'll go for the Dragon Strike, look to claim any kills on top of that bridge. Will not happen, as we will see the rest of CIS Hope look to stabilize and collapse on top of that payload.
Oh, the Transcendence. Good timing there to be able to save the two tanks. Zhao does fall out of his mech, but they keep the fight going and rolling along for now. Not going to be enough, though, as we will see, again, another team fight looking like it's handily taken away by Snakes as they're finding kill after kill. Heiko on the side, going to be able to look for Unfixed here, who's stuck in this corner. Doesn't have a lot of blink options. Recall goes down. There's the hook. Unfixed found, fish hooked out and taken down. I don't know if there's going to be... Oh, Asking with another pick. How do you even get back into this one? Rez comes out. There's the Dragon Strike as well, taking them down very low and sectioning off the tanks as well.
And with it, it's going to be that payload getting also close to the objective. 4 minutes left to do it too. Heiko pushing the opposition away, claiming a kill onto Zhao. They might actually equalize the series 2-2. Payload is going to almost reach Unfixed in the nick of time. Back in it, but not going to be good enough. And it will be Snakes getting us to a map 5.
This is good. I mean, the first time it's on a 3-0, and the first time we're getting a map 5 moving into control. This is insane. These teams battling it out. Snakes with this double sniper has been fantastic so far, but here's the issue. We're going into Ilios next. We know already how strong CIS Hope has been on control. Yes, it was only one map. It was on Lijiang. But moving into Ilios, where we have Ruins, we have that opportunity to bring in the double sniper. Is there enough of a possibility here, do you think, to be able to have Snakes make the most out of this opportunity of this Game 5?
And it's not just the map and the heroes, as you said, even though that could be, or rather could play into their favor, because of those compositions. The fact is, CIS Hope just looks stronger on an individual level with those control maps. So it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a tough one for either of these teams really to get the win in the end. But we will find out shortly enough who is the winner of the series. We are indeed going to a map 5 Ilios underway between CIS Hope and Snakes, deciding map to see who will move on for the winners bracket and who will be knocked out to losers.
I'm excited about this one because moving on to Ilios, I think, is really, really interesting. You know, we bring in that double sniper opportunity. We bring in also the opportunity to have Orisa involved as well. We already know how good Christopher and Heiko can be with that potential or that pickup. We even saw it in the last map as well. So they've been very consistent with both double sniper and with Orisa, and this is a map where they can bring both of those out.
Not only that, Heiko's hooks were on point when it comes to playing that Roadhog, who definitely might be a choice here moving on to Ilias. We'll be curious to note where we're going to be starting off on that particular map. A lot of different options could be coming into play depending where it's going to be, and I do believe it will be Ruins. So expect to see a lot of double sniper, or at the very least, a Widowmaker to start it off.
I would not be surprised to see some double sniper coming out, asking and Nesh pulling those two characters out. I mean, they've just been so strong with it. They've been so consistent with it. It's been a huge problem with CIS Hope really kind of being unable to answer it. There's been a couple of times where we've seen them find the picks, but you're not getting both of them. You're not putting the pressure down. You're not being able to find ways to create space for your back line. And really, it's been kind of Snakes dictating how these fights go down whenever they do run that. And then if you do wind up going from Ruins into Well, I think that poses a big threat to CIS Hope, given what kind of comps we typically see. I think their best bet is to do well on, either to do well on Well or Ruins and then take Lighthouse. I think that's really kind of the only hope for CIS Hope.
We'll see whether or not that will be the case. It seems like teams are getting to be ready. Once again, CIS Hope versus Snakes, the final map to decide the winner of this series. It is going to be an interesting composition on both sides. Double sniper as expected here for the side of Snakes, whereas CIS Hope running something that Samsung Morningstar's Blue actually were running quite a bit, but instead of that, Hanzo, a Widowmaker for Kenzie.
And I'm liking this double sniper. Christopher Heiko going for the dive tank setup, and it's going to be unfixed on the Tracer. He's going to have to find an angle to get in there and pose a threat to this backline. Kenzie finding that first pick, though. This might be a great time for them to get back in there, and that's both snipers taken down. One is actually rezzed back up, but Kenzie has made an impact already.
First point cap might be going in favor of CIS Hope as they're getting really, really close. Kenzie picks up a free kill, make that a fourth on both of the supports. Says, okay, I'm going to take both DPS down. I'm going to take both supports down. And with it, it will be a heavy-handed first team fight win for CIS Hope.
Kenzie going to the air, looking for another flashy kill if he can find it, as they're now feeling a lot more confident about their ability to deal with this style that Snakes has been so successful with so far. But going into this next fight, it'll come down to Christopher and Heiko. Can they find a way to get in there, put some pressure down, make sure everybody else is safe so they can, maybe push Kenzie back and give an opening for Nesh and Asking to do what they do best, and it's not looking like that's going to be happening.
Just look at the damage difference. Kenzie had that infrared at the ready. Nesh was around 40% when that happened, as Kenzie is continuing to deal so much damage to their opponents. Seems like CIS Hope is having such an easier time compared to those escort maps.
And they need to take one of these maps, because if it goes to Well, that could potentially be a problem. We'll have to see what kind of DPS setup we get if we go to that map from Snakes. But we already know that they play around the Orisa very well. Heiko and Christopher have a great synergy between them, so that could pose an issue for them if they go there. But Lighthouse, that's huge. That's a big, big opportunity, I would have to say. And now as we go into this fight, Zhao looking already unfixed, gets taken down, and Char getting aggressive. They're just knocking all these snipers around.
But at this point, the Resurrect being through means that it's still going to be a 6v6. Not over just yet. Still control of CIS Hope. But the big problem for Snakes here is the fact that it's already at 84%. And nobody going down for CIS Hope means that they're still looking good. But as I say that, Nesh finds that kill once again. This is where they need to turn things around if they are to win out on Ruins. They need to get the cap. 94% unfixed. Finds one kill with a pulse bomb. However, overall, looking at the grand scheme of things, CIS Hope might still get the win.
Yeah, I mean, Unfixed has been untouched so far, but there it is. Asking is back into it, putting some pressure down, putting some arrows into Kenzie. Finds the kill and the flip along with it. All it takes is a Hanzo and 2 supports. They'll be able to find that. Nesh actually involved himself as well. But is it too late now? They're getting some picks, but now it's time to get some swaps, as we will see more than likely a triple tank. Unfixed should swap here perhaps, and does indeed. They're leaving Kenzie on the Widow, and why not with what he's been doing so far?
Oh yeah, we'll see more of that soon enough. But on the other side, Asking does have that Dragon Strike at the ready, and even Unfixed, even though he went on the Roadhog down the beginning, we'll see whether or not that will be successful. Go for the Dragon Strike. Did it get... Actually, I think it got eaten there by the Matrix, as Nesh does claim 1 kill. It's a 1-for-1 though, so it might still go in favor of CIS Hope, as Asking falls short as well. But in the end, Nesh still claims another one onto Kenzie, and even though it's a brawl, CIS Hope are not going to be the victors of this team fight.
And because they swapped off of the tank setup that they had just before, they're not able to put the same amount of pressure onto Nesh. So yes, Kenzie's looking to try to have that same performance and that same impact, and he has the spacing to do it, but because there's no pressure on Nesh anymore, he's not free firing. He has to take those duels, and Nesh has been very consistent in those duels alongside his DPS counterpart Asking. So now Kenzie has a straight up 1v2 in the sniper department if he takes that, a bad angle where he's opening himself up to both of them.
The same approach coming out of CIS Hope, but just a slight difference. potentially going towards that point. It is going to be Heiko finding a kill onto Kenzie though, and with the Widowmaker out of the picture, the damage potential coming out of CIS is definitely going to be lessened. Still finding it out on the point with that self-destruct. Shao is going to get the restone. Overtime kick again. Tear Shatter lays one of them flat, but it's not going to be quite enough yet. However, Kenzie come back for spawn with the Tracer. We'll look to do more, but it's going to be the Dragon Strike used from the side of Asking as they're going to continue to get kills and get this potential map win after they get the swap back in their favor.
You have to wonder, I mean, they made the swap, and on paper it makes sense. You go to the tanks, you just brute force your way into the point. You have 100 seconds to get in there and get your ults stacked up and put the pressure on the ground war and just get in there and take the point away with sheer brute force. They don't get it, and now they make those swaps right on back. Kenzie off of that sniper and onto now the Tracer. As they dive back in, it's going to be down to Main and N. Can they stay alive? And N's already out.
And that's a big pick coming out of Nash. As both of the DPS actually still claiming kills, but Main has something to say as he claims the kill onto Heiko. But the rest was there. He was able to stay safe, and overall, looking at the numbers, it's definitely favoring the side of Snakes as they will look to turn this one around and get that first round win. Only Unfix alongside Zhao left on the point. Never mind, Zhao is out of the picture as well, and coming back from spawn, desperately jumping around on that Lucio. Won't be too successful because Nesh is gonna claim another kill and secure the win for Snakes.
Another moment where CIS Hope is just not feeling that one at all. I mean, to come away having that advantage of 99-0, really feeling the momentum, really feeling the power of Kenzie on the Widowmaker. Luckily for them, I'd have to say we move on to Lighthouse. It's tough to say what kind of advantages we'd see out of these particular maps, but I would have to say CIS Hope allowing Unfix to play the Pharah here, not having to worry as much about the Orisa setup. I think this is a good opportunity for them. Moving into Well, they might have a decent shot as well, but they were so close to taking Ruins there, and that would have given them a great spot to be able to take one of those other two maps with Unfix potentially on the Pharah.
But look at this, Asking. Definitely expecting potentially that Pharah out of Unfix means that he will be picking that Widowmaker instead of his counterpart on the Hanzo for Kenzie. So we'll see whether or not that will be the deciding factor for the second round of Ilios, as both the teams will collapse on top of each other. Asking will indeed claim that first blood, making this a 6v5.
This is a smart comp choice too from Snakes, and they've been doing this all series long, where we see the sniper pick instead of being Hanzo, it's going to be Widow. That allows them to help deal with Unfix, and this guy puts extra pressure onto that Pharah, and I like that a lot. That's going to force Unfix to swap. He's going to go over to the Tracer, and now Nesh has all the room in the world to work with should he require it, but they're still going to be playing far back, just basically covering for Asking, who's kind of popping off right now on the Widow.
We'll see if he's going to continue to lay down the pain train, as so far he will be hunting down that Tracer on Unfix, but he's going to find Kenzie instead as the kills coming in on the side of Snakes. Once again, Kenzie will be brought back up. They'll resurrect, but having control position-wise, it's still going to be Unfix getting a return fire kill onto Christopher, as the back and forth are still going to be there. Cave with that Valkyrie up and available will make sure the rest of his team is going to be staying safe and healthy.
Oh, Mercy pulled back as Valkyrie not going to be able to get too much done, and all the way back now with the rest of his team. Unfix still on this Tracer. 50% already on the board for Snakes. They already have that first map take as well. The first round already under their belt. If they take this one, it's all over, and CIS Hope would have witnessed right before their very eyes the first match win stolen away from them. Nash already opening things up with a barrage, gets away safely too as Awkward finds Shark. Is there going to be any hope for them at all? 70% already, and that's another fight win. CIS Hope forced to regroup, potentially for the last time.
That's going to be the big problem, because even if you look at the resources, they don't have that much to work with, and less, or rather desperate, last few swaps coming in. The quad tank composition here for CIS Hope, and they need to make it work off of Main's Transcendence. That could happen because of the brawl style.
Yeah, they're going to just surge right on in, and going to allow them to get onto the point. They're going to want to get this flip here so they can get some scoreline going in their favor. Main he's going to have his Transcendence falling off. This is where the healing starts falling off as well. Now it's all about Snakes biding their time, whittling them down as much as they can, and it's gonna work out, it seems, as Desh is finding kills, but answering back, they do find some of their own inside of the point, and they do get the flip finally as Zhao comes outside. He's gonna need some healing though as he comes back in.
If Unfix manages to stay alive, will be big here because he's charged up really close to that grab. Could potentially snowball this once again, but it's going to be Nesh claiming a double kill, looking for more with the side of Christopher still on the primal rage, bouncing them around. And as they would get the point back in their favor, it seems like Snakes might get the win here.
Overtime will tick. Shark desperately trying to make his way onto the point, not going to find it, and Snakes are your winners already. CIS Hope relegated to the loser's bracket.
Oh man, Snakes turning it up a notch here on Ilios, making sure they get the series win off of the back of this control map. And what an excellent series too at that. It's been our first series that went the distance, but also an absolutely stellar one.
Incredible match between two incredible teams. Snakes, I mean, that map that we're seeing right there,